Hello, welcome back. So this was LACC D grade at Newington Armory. I haven't actually finished a D grade race at the Armory this season. The first time I raced here, I got dropped 2 laps to go, and the second time I crashed after getting a flat on the front wheel. So going into this, I was thinking if I could finish with the bunch, I'd be pretty happy. On the start line, I found out that it was going to be a snowball points race, and then I thought, well, that's it, I'm probably going to get dropped. If you don't know what a snowball points race is, it's basically a points race with a sprint every lap. Only the first across the line gets the points, and the amount of points increases as you go on. So it's a pretty tough race, even if you're just trying to hang on. We were given a few laps at the beginning before the sprints would start. The Sydney Uni rider right in front of me here was super strong. She rode away halfway through the race and ended up just taking all the remaining points, so she won by a huge margin. She seemed to struggle a bit going through the corner though. I mean, my cornering is pretty horrible anyway, which I'll get to later in the video. But you can see here as we go through the corner, she seems to drag the brakes, and I go a bit wide to make sure my front wheel doesn't get close to her rear wheel. This is going into the corner again for the next lap. I think what happens here is she grabs some of her front brake in the middle of the corner, which causes the bike to straighten up, and I nearly go into the back of her. I have to touch my brakes as well. So after about 4 laps, we get the whistle to signify the start of the sprints. I wanted to at least try to get the 1 point in the first sprint, because I didn't think I was strong enough to compete continuously every lap. I decided to go hard up the hill to try string out the bunch, but I immediately regret doing that. I definitely wasn't fit enough, and I ended up just tiring myself out. In the end, it worked out okay though, because I ended up in an alright position going into the sprint. I see a gap on the left here and start my sprint. The guy on the right is also contesting for it, and I thought I had him, but he kicks again, and as there's no points for second place, I just roll across. Right after the sprint going into the corner again, I'm behind the Sydney Uni rider, and she goes quite slow through the corner but then shoots right up the hill. I'm starting to really suffer here. My max heart rate's a bit over 200, and I'm nearly on that, just trying to close the gap. Just as I get close to the wheel, one of the riders on the front attacks and the gap opens up again. There's still 3 riders behind me, so I move to the left and let them chase. As you can see, I'm struggling just to hold the wheel, and at this point, 11 minutes into the race, I'm thinking, that's it, my race is done. They're going to sprint for the points and I won't see them again. Luckily, it slows as we go into the corner again, but I still have to chase hard up the hill, and this sort of happens for the next couple of laps after this. So I would lose contact before the sprint, and then it'd slow for the corner and I'd get back on, and then because I'm last wheel, I have to chase really hard up the hill. But then for some reason, I think maybe the leaders want to rest or something, but they ease up and I manage to get back on. On the next lap, the Sydney Uni rider attacks. I'm a bit far back, so you can't really see it on the video. The 2 riders in green try to bridge, but they can't seem to get across, and that is the last we see of the Sydney Uni rider. So she rides solo to the end and takes all the remaining sprints points. After this, the pace slows, and we sort of just roll as a bunch until the finish line. I'm not sure if anyone was strong enough to chase the Sydney Uni rider down, but I think probably the ones that were strong enough already had points on the board and they were happy with 2nd and 3rd place, so they didn't really have to chase. To finish up, I thought I'd talk a bit about my rubbish cornering. So there is only 1 corner in the course and it's quite tight, and I did struggle going through it. I think my biggest issue was dropping the wheel as I would go into the corner, because I would prefer not to touch the brakes, so I'd start coasting to slow down, and then a gap would form. Don't think speed was that much of an issue, because you can see the gap sort of stays constant throughout the corner and through the exit, but I just got to focus on sticking to the wheel in front. On the next lap though, I was carrying a bit too much speed and I ended up having to go on the grass before jumping back onto the road. Anyway, after 13 laps, that was the end of the race. I essentially finished last because I got no points, but I'm still happy to have finished. Probably a bit lucky that the Sydney Uni rider rode away, because if she didn't, I probably wouldn't have been able to hold on. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.